This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Not everyone is careful with your personal information, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the U.S. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. If your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year by visiting lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
It's The Other Side of Midnight with Frank Morano.
This is The Other Side of Midnight. I'm Frank Morano. Obviously, the country is still dealing with the aftermath of Hurricane Helene, where the death toll has now risen to at least 232 people across 6 states. And, I mean, as terrible as that is, if you look at the images that we're seeing from people that haven't died, their homes ruined, their what was formerly something that was vibrant and wonderful, just decimated by flooding and water. I don't know how you don't get emotional over this. And there is no place that has borne the brunt of this more than North Carolina. As of yesterday, there were 117 confirmed people dead in North Carolina. Obviously, people passed away in South Carolina as well, Georgia, but North Carolina tops the list. Somebody that has some experience dealing with disasters like this, or at least watching them and observing them, is Bill Mathews. Not only is he the former vice president and COO of Blackwater, having been into a war zone or two overseas, but he actually was a participant in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina, and now he's a volunteer with some of the rescue and recovery efforts that are going on in North Carolina. Bill, I know you've got a lot going on. Thanks for joining us at a tough hour.
It's my pleasure.
So how did you end up doing what you're doing in North Carolina? Do you live in North Carolina, or did you travel down there specifically to volunteer?
No, I live in North Carolina, not far from the zone where all the flooding was. For years since Katrina, I get a call every time there's a disaster like this. But after I left Blackwater, I haven't really responded or engaged. But I live so close to this one that my business partner and I decided we'd come up to see what we could do. Not really part of any group. We just plugged into several different groups and, try to help them get what they need, whether it's people or supplies or other things.
So you mentioned having been, or I mentioned having been in Louisiana in the aftermath of Hurricane Katrina. How does what you're seeing now compared to what you saw in the aftermath of Katrina?
Obviously, the damage after Katrina was also massive, but I've never seen anything like what I've seen in North Carolina. It's biblical. It's there's a swath of maybe 50 miles wide just to the east of Asheville, and it's like a 50 mile wide tornado. I just tore through that area, and there are entire mountainsides where every single tree has been uprooted and laid down. It really is remarkable. And, sometimes when they show pictures from the area, not every place looks like that, right? And so they'll show pictures and it doesn't look so bad. And it's easy to placate people and, make them think, hey, it's all right. But it's not all right. You said, how does this compare to Katrina? Well, physically, I think there are areas here that are much worse, but the really interesting thing, or they're completely different, are the people. After Hurricane Katrina, people were victims. People, didn't really, they required the government to provide for them. The people here in Appalachia are completely different. I've never seen anything like it. Every single person is a first responder. Everyone is out helping their neighbors. The response that I've seen here it's amazing. That's been really humbling. You try to go help these people, but they've already helped themselves. The government hasn't helped them very much. I was very angry about that for a while. FEMA's been very slow to respond. There's lots of stories about money being spent elsewhere and things like that. The people here, I think, are also angry about that, but it doesn't matter. They didn't wait for the government. They have just fixed their own problems.
Wow.
Now, the physical damage here will take years, maybe even a decade, to recover from, because the damage is just that bad. But the spirit here is amazing.
At 30 minutes after the hour, this is The Other Side of Midnight. My guest is Bill Mathews. He is a volunteer with some of the rescue and recovery efforts in North Carolina. Bill, just so we understand, those of us that are not in the area, how large is the area that has been devastated, where there was bad flooding and there was a lot of property damage and the trees that were uprooted, which you just alluded to?
There's an area maybe 50 miles across, and it starts just south of Asheville, and it goes up over the Tennessee state line. And everybody's sort of focused on North Carolina, and the people in North Carolina are doing a really good job. Tomorrow, we've been told that the situation is actually worse in Tennessee, and people, everybody talks about North Carolina, but nobody really talks about Tennessee. So this area, 50 miles across, from just south of Asheville up to the Tennessee state line, is bad. But there's a bunch of us that are going up. One guy from Samaritan's Purse, which is, again, I need to give them a plug because that's a remarkable organization. They have responded in force, and they're rock stars. So a guy from Samaritan's Purse and another fellow and I are going to go up and tour through Tennessee and see how bad the damage is there and see if they require services that we might be able to help them with.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's great to hear. You mentioned the slow response from FEMA and how some groups like Samaritan's Purse have been really on the spot and on the money here. What about the private insurance companies? What are you hearing from residents, or what are you seeing in terms of people's insurance claims being paid?
You know what? I'm not hearing about any insurance claims being paid. That doesn't necessarily mean that some insurance companies haven't done well and they haven't paid. That's just not something that I've engaged with. I did speak to a gentleman today. We dropped off some relief supplies for him and his family, and he had two vehicles. They were both destroyed by the flood, and I said, well, this may not be the best thing, but go file your insurance claim on your car, and maybe they'll pay you in cash, and you can live on those funds for a little while, and you worry about your car later. And he hadn't even thought about that. He hadn't even filed the claim. A lot of people, I think, are in shock.
Sure, I would be too. I mean, especially people that have lost their houses. Now, for people that have lost their houses, Bill, where are they sleeping?
Everybody's got a neighbor. Everybody's got a friend. Everybody. I haven't seen anybody who's out in the cold, and it is cold here tonight. The community has just taken in their own. After FEMA, or after Hurricane Katrina, FEMA paid to erect these residential camps for people, and I don't know that those will be necessary because everybody has just taken care of their neighbor, their friend, or they've left the area. I haven't seen a lot of people that are, struggling to put a roof over their head.
As I alluded to, I know you've seen a lot, both in combat and in this country in various disaster areas and things like that. Has anything that you've seen here in Asheville and in North Carolina or the surrounding areas, has anything really shocked you, really surprised you? Paint the picture for us.
Two things. One is the magnitude of the damage in the areas that were hardest hit. You've never seen anything like it. Roadways just gone, railroad lines gone, mountainsides completely stripped bare. Never seen anything like it. But then the other thing, which I've also alluded to, is the response of the local population. These people are tough. They care about their neighbors. I've traveled around, like you said, to different NGOs, and it's the churches, NGOs, which are primarily driven by churches and veterans, and the local first responders, the police and the fire. Every single fire station in every single community has turned into like the community center. And I've probably been to a dozen of those over the last few days. And there's never less than 100 people there.
Wow.
And their women will be in the back cooking and sorting the supplies. The men will be out, driving their pickups and 4x4s to deliver supplies. And I mean, it looks like a Walmart. The bays where the trucks were are completely full of donated supplies that have just materialized, instantly. And I don't think that's a local response. I think there are people around the country that really do care about this, and they're sending stuff. Even though I think there's a lot of supplies that are being duplicated, maybe unnecessary supplies just being sent, people are just sending stuff.
Right.
It's going to good use. And these fire stations, they're amazing. But the churches are the same way.
That's outstanding. If people are just tuning in, this is The Other Side of Midnight. I'm Frank Morano. My guest is Bill Mathews. And listening to you, Bill, I'm reminded of a text message I got from a listener a little while ago who writes me, and what a way to put this: North Carolina is turning out to be a great place for great humans. And based on what you're saying, that certainly seems to be the case. Bill, do you have any idea, or have you heard at this point, how many people are still believed to be missing?
To be honest, I don't think that number will ever be definitively answered. If you traveled along the river and saw the magnitude of the destruction and saw the houses that were along the river that just were swept away, many times with the occupants therein, those people are probably buried under 10 feet of dirt and will probably never be found. There's been lots of, I don't want to say conspiracy theories because I actually believe a lot of it, but I believe they're understating the fatality rate pretty dramatically. I think when we're done, it'll be in the thousands, not in the hundreds.
Wow.
And I know I was helping to distribute body bags. One of the things we got caught up in is nobody had them for a while. And so we went and helped them get sent into North Carolina and then help them get distributed from where they went into. And the number of body bags that have been distributed are way in excess of the figure that's being reported. Now, we'll see how many of those get filled and how many get reported, but doesn't matter. Whatever is reported is going to be, I think, way off the actual
Interesting.
number.
Wow.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. micro-tabb.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever find yourself playing the budgeting game? Well, with the Name Your Price tool from Progressive, you can find options that fit your budget and potentially lower your bills. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law. Not available in all states.
Feel like you're stuck in career limbo? Clock in, clock out, repeat. No growth, no new opportunities. It's time to break out and break into tech. With CBT Nuggets, you can start building the IT skills that companies are hiring for right now. We make training fast, simple, and practical. From networking to cybersecurity, you'll get short, easy-to-watch videos and hands-on virtual labs so you can build real-world skills without expensive gear or complicated setups. For just $59 a month, you get unlimited access to our full training library. That includes certifications, skill-based learning, and practice exams, a $100 value included free. Learn anytime, anywhere, and get job ready on your terms. Thousands have used CBT Nuggets to launch new careers, and you can too. Right now, CBT Nuggets is offering a free trial. Easily find the training you need and test it out with no commitment. Start your 7-day free trial now at cbtnuggets.com. Don't wait. A better job is just a few clicks away.
What are the next challenges for the affected area residents? Obviously, as everybody is going through this, they're trying to maybe file some insurance claims with their cars, or maybe if they have property, flood insurance or something like that. Beyond the financial aspects, what are they dealing with in the next 24 hours, the next week, the next month?
There are still people who are short. A lot of people lost everything. They got out of their house, with the clothes on their back. And so I'd say caring for those people and making sure as the weather gets colder that they're provided for and protected. I think that's, obviously the most important. But like I said, today we dropped off relief supplies for a guy who lives hand to mouth, like many people do. He couldn't leave his house if he wanted to because he's got no place to go. He's got no job and he's got no money. To make things worse, he'd gone into town as instructed to go collect a cash stipend from FEMA. When he got there, FEMA was out of money.
Oh.
So, he was like everything in this guy's life had gone wrong. And really all he wanted was the opportunity to earn a living. That's obvious. Well, for now it's gone. I think there's going to be more construction work they shake a stick at. In this part of North Carolina, I think he'll eventually go back to work and be fine. But there are a lot of people that I think have immediate financial needs. Those people that live hand to mouth have nothing, and they need help. Everybody's getting them fed, but that's not your only need. So there's going to be a weird economic problem that I'm not exactly sure how you fix.
Yeah, I would say so. My goodness, I wouldn't want to be the person figuring that out. Bill, do you have an opinion as to why the loss of life has been so great, whether we're talking a couple of hundred or 1,000, whatever the case may be? A lot of people dead here. Is it due to a failure to evacuate? Was it due to an underestimate of how bad this particular storm was going to be? Why was this so much more deadly than previous storms?
I don't believe an evacuation order was ever issued by Governor Cooper, and the natural inclination is to point the finger. But I can tell you, I've never seen anything like this. I'm not sure most rational people would have ever anticipated this.
Right.
I've never seen anything like it. Not pulling out, I think, was a problem. And you can see Governor DeSantis has certainly learned that lesson. He's already issuing evacuation orders well in advance of this next storm that's rolling ashore. I think that hurt. but it also came on so quickly. There's stories about the river coming up 40 feet in a matter of hours.
Ooh.
Like nobody's ever seen that before. And a lot of people survived by, they're watching it from their house, which is, comfortably above the river. But then all of a sudden, when the water's there in a couple of hours, they can't get out now. They waited too long, and they literally had to just grab clothes and run up the mountain to try to get to higher ground.
Wow, I can't imagine. Lastly, Bill, I saw a photo of you involved in some distribution of Starlink units. Has Elon Musk and his company, have they been coming through at the very least to help the people in the affected areas stay connected to the internet and be connected and available to emergency services?
Absolutely. You can't buy a Starlink right now because Elon Musk is sending them all to North Carolina and this area. And I can't begin to describe to you how important that is for these remote places to be able to coordinate and communicate. They're truly lifesavers. And I'd actually used Starlink in some very remote areas of the Ukraine also. So I've been a big believer and a big fan of Starlink and its capabilities for a long time. And the Starlink, I sent you a picture, I think, of a local fire department, me giving one away. That was a donation by Elon Musk, not by us. We were just able to divert 2 units to first responder units that didn't have them yet and needed them. Obviously when they first come in, you think like the people that are higher up grab them first, and that's probably appropriate. But there are people who are kind of out in the hinters that need them as well, and they're just the last ones to get them. So we were able to carve off 2 units, and there have been several hundred that have shown up, and send them to 2 places where we knew they were needed, which we're super grateful for.
Yeah, that's great. And Bill, just so I just out of curiosity, really, what is your business these days? I know you alluded to having a business partner. What are you doing for a living these days?
I have a couple partners, and we sell military equipment.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I'm glad you're out there, and thanks for taking the time to give us an update. And please keep me posted if you can, and whatever information we can communicate to our listeners. A lot of people around the country, maybe even around the world, very curious about what's happening down there, and really appreciate your perspective.
Well, thank you for the opportunity to share, and I'd ask everybody the big push. Pray that FEMA actually gets here in force and does what they're capable of doing. They haven't really succeeded yet, but I don't think we should be too harsh. We should give them a chance and just pray that they step up and do what they're capable of doing, because it's I can't think of a place in the country where it's needed more.
Yeah, I would say so. At least 232 people dead across 6 states. That's Bill Mathews. If you want to comment on any portion of our discussion, you can give me a call, 646-720-0635. That's 1-646-720-0635. This is The Other Side of Midnight. I'm Frank Morano. Straight ahead.
If you're having problems with your septic system and you're tired of spending so much money each year to have it pumped, then SeptiClean is the answer for you. SeptiClean is an advanced specially formulated blend of bacteria used in the treatment of home and commercial septic systems. The breakdown of waste in your system relies on biological activity of naturally occurring bacteria. SeptiClean restores the natural biological process in your septic system and boosts the existing biological activity. SeptiClean is completely safe on all plumbing and can help prevent expensive emergencies in pumping. SeptiClean has approximately 6 to 100 times the bacteria count of other leading off-the-shelf brands in a 1-year supply. SeptiClean comes in a water-soluble pack, which you flush down the toilet once a month with no mess or stress. Save time, money, and maintenance on your septic system. Find SeptiClean at Emporium True Value Hardware on Main Street in Sag Harbor, or visit micro-tab.com. That's micro-tabb.com. Micro-tabb.com.